Hey everyone, welcome to Bobbi on Beauty and Style Network. I know that you all noticed that we are in our brand new studio. So this is our very first episode and I couldn't think of anybody better to join us for our first episode than Donnie Reagan. Welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me. It is awesome in here. I'm so excited for you guys.
You like it?
Yeah,
I'm really excited
awesome.
that you get to be our first because breaking it in, I think that you're the one I want to start with.
Good.
Actually, can
Good,
you get
good,
out
good.
so we can get someone else in here?
I'll come back in tomorrow or the next day. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to have you on the show because I've known you for a little while and got to watch you through your beauty school journey, but you have a really long history in the beauty industry. So I kind of wanted to share that today. So I kind of want to start where you came into the beauty industry because this was kind of a family thing for you. So tell me kind of how it started for you and how you got when the first experience that you had was with the beauty industry.
So I think I was 19. And it was probably like 2008, I think, 2008-ish. But I just was looking to get I was just looking for like a stable, just day job. Like I was in this little like rock band that was taking all of my money and all of my time. And so when I just looked at one of my friends was a stylist here at a pretty big salon here in the Knoxville area. And I just was at a party with him one day and was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing something. And he just told me basically, hey, go see if they'll let you work the desk. Like they don't have any guys working it right now. I'm sure they would like a guy at the desk. Yeah. And so literally like that's how I got my foot in the door. I went in, I had like this gnarly like Walmart, I think it was red at the time, but it was like blonde hair to Walmart box dye red ends. Like super early 2000s, like emo cut. I love it. That had grown out like gnarly and poofy. And I'm just in this really nice like New York style salon in the middle of Knoxville, like, oh, okay. I don't know if this is going to work, but like I'm here, I'm going to talk to him regardless. Yeah. And, I ended up staying for like 6-7 years with that company.
And what were you doing in that time? So mostly working front desk, but what else what were you doing? What was your job like?
So it really was like, at the time I viewed it, for the first year or so I was there, I viewed myself as a professional flirt. Okay. And so like we'd have a lot of women come in and they'd see me and they'd be like, that looks like that boy my dad told me I couldn't date in the 70s. Mm-hmm. And so then they would just hit it off with me. I'd just be super nice to them. We'd have good conversations. I'd like learn about their pets and their kids. And like somehow like I remembered really silly stuff like that. So they'd come back the next time. I'd be like, hey, how was Rupert? How's your little goldfish? Like stuff like that. Yeah. And in the industry itself, I really was just like a relationship manager I was the first and the last person people would see in the salon. Mm-hmm. So the second they get there, just give them some kind of positivity during the check-in experience. During the checkout experience, like sometimes you got to be the bad guy, but you want to make that as positive as an experience as you can. And also take care of the business in the sense of like, hey, the person you see, like they stay really busy. Do we need to go and set up your next one? And always just basically trying to build future business while taking care of the business we had that day. But I ended up getting just kind of stuck in the industry because of the relationship aspect of the job. It's super fun. Like, it's the only job I've ever had where you literally get all walks of life coming in through the front doors. You get wonderful people, you get terrible people, you get everyone coming in. And just being able to have some kind of positive experience or attempt to with everybody and just kind of build relationships in the community. I was really hooked on that ultimately.
How old were you when you started this job?
I was like 19.
Okay. And so did you have customer service experience up until that, like before then
I did
at all?
Because like
it's so much.
Food service. Okay. Like my first job ever was like at Pizza Hut when I was like 15. Yeah. So like through food service and like serving tables, like I had customer experience.
But it came pretty naturally to you to do this job.
I think it's just like I was saying, like I was coming out of like a entertainment kind of background at the time. And so I had no problem at all talking to strangers. Yeah. And, I think that's a hurdle like you can overcome, but you can't really be taught. Like that's the one part of the job you can't teach in a salon. You can teach people all of the technical aspects that they can grasp onto, but you can't teach people to be good to people.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you had that right away, which is why you were so good at the job, and which is why you stayed there. How long into working there did you have to change your hair? How long did you fix that?
It was
Walmart
my first day. It was my first day. So I was lucky at this salon. They actually did it was a big thing. Yeah. So I think we had like 70 plus chairs maybe at this one location. And then we had a spa across the parking lot. And so it was a big operation. They wanted everybody in the desk part of this company to just be well-rounded on the services we offered. So literally my first day on the job I clocked in for, they fixed my messed up hair. Then they sent me over to the spa and like gave me a massage and like walked me through all the different spa services that they offered because they wanted us to know. Like it was a really well put together business. And they took a lot of pride in building up stylists at the time. Granted, I was never a stylist for them. Yeah. But they took a lot of pride in like building up their service providers and making sure they knew what they were doing and continued to get better. Yeah. So it was a very nice environment to kind of cut my teeth in, if that makes sense.
I think it was a good place for you to start for sure. But your dad was in the beauty industry, right? Or like he had gone to beauty school. Okay, so you were first. Yeah. I didn't know that. This whole time I thought that your dad had done it first. So you were actually first in the industry, and then then you talked your dad into beauty school? Like how did this happen?
No, so my dad went to beauty school and it was crazy how my dad went to beauty school. He basically went from 25 years in the military to getting out of the military and being like, I'm ready to just switch my life up entirely. And so he goes from a very literally militant job to beauty school. And he actually like did half of beauty school, was like, maybe I just want to do aesthetics. So he went and did all of aesthetics and he came back and finished beauty school, I think. Yeah. And so I think he just saw us having fun in the industry and he was looking to like maybe switch up what he was doing at that point in his life. And we never talked about it. He just like went one day and came back with a bag and I was like, oh damn, like that's awesome, man. Like, yeah,
I love that. So from that salon that you were in, you were there for 7 years, you said?
Like off and on. There's I don't want to get into the history of it, but it was
off and on. Okay, so for about 7 years. So you went into a barbershop after that, is that correct?
So yes.
Okay. So went into a barbershop after that.
So
and
I actually went
like?
to I ended up working at another salon here in Knoxville. I kind of got out of that for a second. Just kind of wanted new people around me, basically. Yeah. And so I actually went and helped open up Maple Hall on Gay Street down here, the bowling alley. Oh, yeah. And so I set up their front office. Basically, bowling experience works like a salon front desk. Yeah. That's how they work that now. And from there, actually, somebody found me who runs another nice little salon in the Bearden area. And they wanted to open up a barbershop, and they wanted me to come and consult them on how to do it. And so I went and did that and just kind of ended up in a bad environment with these people. Like actually kind of like a hostile work environment. We kept running into issues with like running staff off and all this stuff, just the way that company was set up and the way it was ran. It was just not good for growing the staff or nurturing the staff. But regardless, I was there. We were trying to open up a barbershop, and we ended up opening up the barbershop, and I left after that was done. We had planned to open up like 4 or 5 with this company, and I was like, cool, we got the one, I'm out. Yeah. And then I actually went from that and opened up another barbershop with a friend a couple years later called Saints and Sailors over on Central. It's like a wonderful little like punk rock and roll barbershop. Yeah. And they're absolutely awesome at what they're doing right now, and they're just killing it for a company that started 4 months before all the COVID shutdowns happened. Yeah, that's so awesome. And that's kind of where, I mean, I know my husband and my son have come in there, and so that's kind of where, I mean, they got to meet you too when you were coming into beauty school. So seeing you in that environment is really cool, and we'll kind of talk about this in a second because I want to hear about how you got started in beauty school. But you had a different route. I mean, usually it's like, beauty school, stylist,
then you kind of go into the more business side, maybe where you want to open up your own salon. You did it opposite, which I really think is interesting, because I think even in beauty school, seeing you every day and you being there, I think naturally you would have been a positive person anyways. I think if you would have come to beauty school for it, but you just had such a different understanding of even how the clinic floor and all that stuff worked, how front desk should be working, all of that. Like, you already had that knowledge. Like, you already knew how things should be going. So you were so go with the flow with clients and with, guests coming in and stuff. You handled all of that like such a pro always, because you came in with this experience, which, like I said, is not normal. Usually, like I said, the business side comes a little bit later. So I think that that's so interesting that you kind of flipped it. What advantage do you think that you had coming in with that? Was there any advantage for beauty school, or is beauty school either way?
So I think it is a little bit of a mixed bag. Like, I think the biggest leg up I had coming into beauty school is I had already accepted I was gonna ruin somebody's hair. Yeah, it was just gonna happen. Like,
well, you've seen professionals do it too.
Yeah. Like, I've seen people who get paid a lot of money and do really, really, really awesome hair on a very consistent basis, still mess someone's hair up eventually. Right. And maybe it's because the client lied to them about what was on their hair, or maybe the client didn't understand the process and they like bailed mid-service, which I've seen too, which is wild. Yeah. But I think the biggest thing is I came in and I already accepted I was going to ruin somebody's hair. It was just a matter of getting through it and finishing the hours, because it's a matter of getting through the hours so you can pass the test. Right. And that's all it is. I think some people get really caught up in the drama and the day-to-day, and I think it is because a lot of them typically are younger women, younger men who are going through it. And I was kind of like the old man in the back of the class is kind of how I felt. And I was like Uncle Donnie through beauty school, just like, hey man, like, let's just hang out and be cool. There's no reason to like pick on them. Literally, you're never going to have to talk to them again. Like, just get out and start doing hair out there, get paid. Like, and so I think that was the only really leg up I had coming through beauty school is I did understand how the floor worked. I was not afraid of people. Yeah. But ultimately, it was just I'd already accepted we're going to mess something up one day. Yeah. Like, we don't know what we're doing. We're in school. So, and a lot of people get very nervous about that. And still, even after school, like now that I'm behind the chair, like full time, I'm trying not to keep that mentality. Like, I understand you're not always going to do it perfect, but now it's on me if I mess up. I'm not under the school's like umbrella of just like, oh God, somebody come save me. Like, you're just out there. It's sink or swim. Yeah. And so you just want to be good to everybody and just do their hair better than they can at home. And typically they'll just be really happy with you. Yeah.
And I think that that's important too. I think like there's ways to handle situations. And so if you're just nice, like most of the time, I'm sure the guest is going to understand. If they're a nice person also will understand if something does happen, it can be fixed and it's not kind of the end of the world. But now as you're saying this, I want to make every part of orientation at the school now is you talking to them about how they're going to mess up someone's hair, because I hadn't ever really, I mean, I know that that's something that every student is nervous about, but I never really had considered how much easier it would be to just know, like to take that off your plate and to take that stress off. Because even on the tour, when you first come in to see the school, like we point out, like, yes, this is a clinic floor and you're working on people, but you're not alone. Like, because you can just see their faces like change a little bit when they're like, wow, this is a lot of people. They're real clients. Like, how are we going to handle that? So I think that that's an awesome message for people that are starting beauty school or in beauty school to like, just don't worry about that. You know, it's going to happen at some point. So just like accept that. Yeah.
Especially in beauty school, like it's good to get with, but even in the real world, like, you know, we'll be in the break room sometimes and we'll just be like, hey, you know, my girl's a level 7. She's wanting her hair to look like this picture. I'm thinking this, what do you think? So like even in the real world, like you're out bouncing ideas off of each other, just trying to get every angle thought of that you can before you actually start to go and do the service and commit to it. Yeah. But I mean, if in some salons, like the first salon I worked in, like I ran a training salon for them at one point in time. And the thing was like, it was almost like school, but not quite. That was your client. But if you needed help, rather than just full send on whatever you're not sure about doing that you're about to do to somebody, you could always take a step back and be like, hey, I need to go do this one thing real quick. I'll be right back. And then, like run back and be like, hey, guys, her head's on fire. What do I do? Like, how am I going to fix this right now? And, you can always do that in any environment. It just, can you bite the bullet and do it? Like, can you get over your ego and just be like, I think I actually need a second opinion here and go get it versus just continue to cut more length off or continue to put more chemicals into somebody's hair. Like, you just have to take a step back.
Yeah. Well, I love that advice for sure. I think that's going to be really helpful. So you, I'm going to rewind a little bit. So you were in a salon or you were working like business side of the beauty industry for about 13 years before you decided to actually go to beauty school. So what was it that made you make the call to TSB and say, hey, I want to come in, I want to sign up for school? What was that push? Or had it always been in the back of your mind, but there was just like never really good time?
So the past few years before I'd went, like maybe the last 2 or 3 years before I actually went to beauty school, I was already thinking about it. Like, it was kind of in the back of my mind, just because I had already spent so much time in the industry and I had already helped other people either redo their business, like their business plan essentially, and be like, hey, you guys are operating like this. Let's try it like this and let's see if your numbers do a little bit better. And, I'd go to another salon and just hold down the fort for like a part-time gig or something, working desk. But ultimately, like when I was in that stage of my career where I was going in and helping other people's businesses and not quite getting the benefits of the business growing afterwards, like a business owner does and should, I was like, well, I have to eventually do hair if I want to have longevity in this career, because I'm never going to be financially stable enough to the caliber of life I'd like to live if someone else is signing my checks ultimately.
Right.
And, there's a lot of growth and there's a lot of great salon owners out there, but at least in my mind, I was kind of in the ballpark of, I'm going to have to eventually learn how to do hair so I can make all this management stuff work. And if I can't build a team, I can make a team because I can now do hair. And so ultimately, it really came down to COVID. I was going absolutely crazy not being able to work. I was used to working like 60, 70 hours a week between a few jobs. And finally, I'm stuck at home playing video games and watching every episode of every show ever recorded. And I was like, I just snapped one day. I was like, I'm going to beauty school. I'm going to go in July. And that's that. And then I got on the website and y'all didn't do a July class. And I was just devastated.
It's the only time
I was devastated.
Classes every single month except July.
Yeah,
I love that you're like, in July.
Yeah, I was like, for my birthday, I'm bettering myself. I was trying to go in July and I went and talked with you probably sometime in June. You're like, we don't do July classes. And I was like, oh, well, I'm going to go talk to another school. I want to come here, but I'm going to go talk to everybody. I want to start next month. And ultimately, like, I left. I took a phone call with another school here in town. I was like, I don't even care. Yeah. Like, I'm just going to wait till August. Like, we'll just go.
Yeah. I think the August class was actually perfect for you, too, because it was a bigger class also.
Oh my God,
but I think that was good for you. I think that the more people that got to be around you just, like, spread that positivity. So I'm really happy that you started in August. I know that pushed you back a little bit.
Yeah, it was fine. It was fine.
So you got through beauty school. You did great attendance-wise, too. You got through, like, pretty much at, like, under a year?
I missed a day.
A day? One day?
A day.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. That's really great. But you knew that you had to just get the hours done. I mean, I think you had already set in your mind, I've just got to be done.
Yeah, that's the thing, beauty school is I think really anything in life is as hard as you want to make it. Some things are obviously harder than others, but it's only as hard as you want to make it. And ultimately, I love beauty school. I had great instructors. I love the beauty school I got to go to and attend. But ultimately, the way our education system is for cosmetology, it says in the state of Tennessee, you got to bang out 1,500 hours, and then you got to go take 2 tests and pass them. And that's it. So, I had known from my experience in salons, school's going to get us as good as they can. But ultimately, being an educational facility, we just have to spend the time, and then we got to pass the test. They're teaching us a test. And if you want to be there for 2 years, they'll let you be there for 2 years. Mm-hmm. But why?
Why would you do that?
Yeah, why would you want to do that to yourself? Why would you? I mean, I was already 31 when I enrolled at school. So it was like, why would I want to prolong this? I'm ready to get back to working and continue to expand on my career that I've been at for over 10 years.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of, especially with younger people, like they're getting their first little taste of freedom post high school or post structured like university style college or something. And now it's all on them. They're like, I just have to be here for this many hours, and it doesn't matter if I don't turn in that assignment because they'll just like reprimand me and then I'll turn in the assignment later. Versus like, oh God, I got to repeat this whole semester or something. And so a lot of people are just like, it's fine. I'll just take a day, I'll take a late day, or I'll take a leave for a week or two, and I'll just take 2 or 3 weeks off of school. And that's only making it harder to get started.
Yeah.
You're only pushing yourself back.
Yeah.
And I imagine as somebody younger and you're getting more freedom than you have in your whole life, I imagine it's a little harder than it was for me, but if I wasn't going to be at school, I was going to be at work. So it was just like, just go and do it and be done.
We have a lot of people that come in and they're like, am I too old to do this or whatever? And I know you said 31 is when you started. I think that's almost a perfect age, to be honest, because I think you're mature enough to handle beauty school. I think you're mature enough to get in, get out. I always say, like, when we have people that start at 17, 18 years old and, they might end up dropping out or, switching or whatever, deciding that maybe this isn't for them at some point. Well, when they come back, they're a little bit older. Some of them maybe have gotten married, maybe have had children, like life changes have happened, right? They've grown up a little bit. Well, when they come back, they don't miss a day. It's perfect attendance or so, and we see that all the time. And I think it's just a matter of like, are you in a place where you're ready to handle this? So many of us do this. So even with traditional college, like we're just sent off and like, here you go. And we've never been on our own before. And I think I think sometimes it's better to come in a little bit later. So.
Yeah. Especially because it's not like traditional school either. It's not like, we're held to standards of like, hey, every X amount of weeks we have a test. Or like, we've been studying this section of the book for this long, and so our test is this day. But it's not traditional in the sense of like I was saying, like, if you miss that test, you can still come back and take that test. Like, you'll be reprimanded, but you're not going to miss out on the test. You don't get a 0. Yeah. And so, having that kind of freedom in your like education that you're used to being very, very structured, it's a lot different, and everybody will try to take advantage of a situation pretty much. Yeah. Especially when they're that young, typically. It's like, what can I get away with? Like if mom says no, I'm gonna go ask dad.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of set up. It's exactly how it works at school for sure. Yeah. That's exactly it. So you were lucky enough to go into an amazing salon that we've actually like featured on the show. So everyone should be familiar with the Wild Side in Knoxville, Tennessee. We absolutely love the salon. I think it's a perfect fit for you too. I was so excited. You're really good friends with the owner, so that that kind of helps as well for you to just like know that you're the ins and outs of a salon before you went to work there. Like you knew how everyone was going to be. You knew what to expect going there. So we were talking a little bit before we started recording. But tell me a little bit about what your experience has been like going into a salon. So you're in a booth rent salon, but it's a little bit different. So talk to us about what that environment's like and like what those positives have been for you.
So I did something scary that I wouldn't recommend a lot of people do. And really like some weeks even still like 6 months later or something, even still like some weeks I'm like, should I have done this? But, ultimately when I was coming out of school, I was thinking like, there are a lot of really talented stylists in town. There are a lot of really good salons in town. And I don't want to go be an assistant at any of them. And it's not to like dog assistant programs. I think they're wonderful. And I think, if you want a structured curriculum to get really good really fast, like those salons are great. If you're 17, you're 20 years old, go do that. I was 32 by the time I was graduating. Right. So that was just not for me at that point in my life, and hopefully for the rest too. Yeah. But doing the booth rental thing was nice. And I think in a lot of bigger cities right now, in particular with the younger workforce, we're getting to a point, especially with hairstylist and creative type jobs, where people want more control over their availability. They want more control over when they work, how they work, and what kind of work they do, and provide, what kind of services they're providing. And so I think over the next 5 or 10 years, I think a lot of the industry is going to go to a salon setup similar to the Wild Side.
Yeah,
where, everyone is in charge of themselves solely, but it's not like you're in little hair cubicles like you are at like a suite rental kind of setup. It's a big open salon floor, and we work as a team, and we bounce and get feedback off of each other as a team, and we work together. But ultimately, like, we are our own thing. And so if we want to succeed, we put in the time, we put in the effort, we succeed. If we don't want to succeed, we're gone.
Yeah.
You can't afford to keep working there at that point.
It is kind of an easy way to weed people out, I think, also. Exactly like you said, like, that rent is due either way.
Yeah.
So if you're not working to be able to afford that rent, it's just going to kind of work itself out. I haven't really thought about how that's a little bit easier for Keela too, as a salon owner, to kind of, it's just on them. It's not something that she needs to direct or worry about so much. Like, it's kind of just like you do your thing, and we'd love to have you, but if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out,
Yeah. Yeah, ultimately. And, we're very lucky that, we haven't had any turnover since I've been there. Everybody is
awesome.
Who works for her. She basically got to handpick her team when she got that place going, which was very fortunate for her and them, I feel like, at this point.
Okay, so being at the Wild Side and you all working together. So I know you didn't go through an associate program, but let's say you're in the middle of a service and you're like, stuck. You all are still there to help each other. You all still kind of connect and speak, and you're there all together still all the time. So I feel like that's a special environment, and something I agree with you. I think that's exactly the way that a lot of salons are going to go. I just have one more question for you.
Yeah.
So being behind the chair now, is there any moment that you miss the business side of it, or is that like, are you still kind of feeding that with it being your own books and your own clientele, and you're kind of still doing numbers like, are you missing that part of it at all, or are you just kind of incorporating it into what you're doing anyways?
It's mainly just been incorporated into what I'm doing. Okay. I miss it in the sense of, like, I really like team building. I think my favorite job I've ever had at the desk was either when I was working in the training salon or the assistant program salon for a larger salon here in town, or when I was at Saints and Sailors Barbershop, because we really, like, we moved into that building. There was not a ceiling, there was not a floor. We waited through the construction, then we built a team, and then we continued to build a team. And so I really just enjoyed the team building aspect of management more than anything. Like, doing payroll, not fun.
Yeah.
Managing books and sending, like, text reminders for appointments, like, not super fun, but, like, you could do worse.
Right.
But it's really fun kind of being behind the chair, because I get to kind of, like, tickle my creative side. And then I also have parameters I have to operate in.
Yeah.
So it's nice to, I don't really think of hair as, like, some artistic expression everybody I do. Like, I'm working within defined parameters, and I can use my creativity within those parameters. So it's actually a lot more like kind of like what your husband does. It's almost kind of like engineering and like producing more than anything, because you can't reinvent somebody's entire look. Like, you're stuck with the face and the body, the mouth, the eyes, all the stuff you got. But you can, like, accent and add to and define certain features within that and kind of make that work, which is fun. I don't really miss management, though, at all, other than the team building. It's just, maybe it was all my stress and my business, it'd be cool. But if it's all my stress and somebody else's business, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like,
do you think you'll ever do that? Do you think down the road, like, owning a salon or going back a little bit more into that role is ever in the cards for you? Or do you think that...
I'm not going to rule it out, but I'm still so young in my actual behind the chair career that right now I'm just focusing on trying to continue to grow and get better every day, build clientele, and just keep learning. Like we were saying before we got everything rolling, like I think complacency is basically like the nail in the coffin for any industry. And so I'm just trying to continually tell myself I suck basically every day. Just go to work and be like,
great, Donnie. We love
like,
that.
I suck
you suck
1%
every
less
day.
than yesterday. No,
Any
it's
tips
fun.
for anyone? Tell yourself you suck.
Yeah, just wake up, brush your teeth, be like, you are awful. Make it to work on time. Like, but kind of like getting back into like booth rental versus going a more traditional like salon route of an assistant program, or just somewhere that is more structured than a booth rental setup. You have to just spend the time doing it. Like if you're not there and the phone rings and nobody picks it up, like who's taking that appointment? Another salon, not you. And so it really is just like you have to be there to succeed. Even with social media and everything being such a huge part of the industry, which it wasn't when I first started. Like Instagram didn't even exist.
Right.
And now it's like the first thing everybody gets onto to be like, oh, did you see this? Or that, or Pinterest, I guess.
Yeah.
And you've really got to put in the time at the salon. You can't do it all from your phone or your laptop. Like you still have to show up. But I think especially in a town like Knoxville, we're a little bit more progressive for like a southern city.
Yeah.
We're like
I think especially where you're at.
Yeah.
I think at the Wild Side for sure, it's definitely more progressive in that way, I think.
Yeah, in the old city, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think, it's getting harder and harder. Like I was working at Longevity Massage, which is like a wonderful spa here in Knoxville. And it's ran by a couple that have just really good accolades. One of the owners has like tons and tons and tons of massage awards for Tennessee, trains all of his staff and keeps them up to his standard of work. But even then, like hiring just front desk staff, like young college kids who need a part-time gig, like, and having them actually show up to their commitment and continue to work for guaranteed like money, like you're not going to not get paid.
Right.
But it was so weird seeing how much we struggled just getting people in to do that one job, and then seeing like other businesses around town running the same thing.
Yeah.
I think the future is everybody's moving towards contractor gigs. Like, and it comes down to, like this whole new, I guess just awareness movement where people are like, I don't want to do what my parents did. I don't want to like break my fingers off at work every day. I want to like work an honest amount of hours to provide the life I want to provide for myself. And I'm not saying like assistant programs or stuff like big box salons like we're used to seeing in bigger cities. Like those are always going to be around in some capacity, but I think they're going to slowly start losing a lot of that younger workforce that's coming into the industry. I
think what we've seen too a lot is just even in, I'll say the last 2 years, but it's probably a little bit longer, but seeing that associate program go shorter and shorter and shorter. I mean, when you were working in the salon that you started at, it was a minimum of a year, I would think, right?
It was 2.
It was 2 years. Yeah.
It was
like
2.
That's
and you were
insane.
lucky. It was 2, and then you might have 5 days as an assistant behind the chair at our apprentice salon.
Right. Exactly. So for 2 years now, going down to, I was speaking with a salon owner that was like kind of adjusting this recently to say like, we're at about 6 months, and I still feel like that might be long. And I don't know if it's like the instant gratification, there's so many things that are changing, but also does it need to be like, it's going to be interesting to see. And I like follow this a lot because I'm really interested in it. It'll be interesting to see what change is like a negative in that way, did it need to be 2 years, or is it 1 month, 2 months? Like what is the right answer?
I think it ultimately comes down to the individual. I don't think it has ever been an issue of like, how long does it have to take? It's always how much do you want it?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
So like the first salon I was at, we had like a 2-year apprenticeship program. And, you do X amount, and then we'd start giving you 1 day a week on the floor. So you can actually take clients, start building them up. And then, as you did more classes and you had X amount of numbers happening behind your chair, we'd give you a second day, and we'd slowly build your book up a day at a time. And then we still would be paying you hourly. You'd be behind the chair full time, and then you'd have to do retail numbers, pre-book numbers, and all these like standards of, is your business growing with you behind the chair or not? And then we would finally bump you down to commission once you were already like pretty much full, and then we could continue to make you hit harder and harder numbers so we could profit more and more and make your services worth more. And ultimately, we're selling time, so we're not necessarily needing somebody to come in and spend 2.5 years before we can split 40-60 with them or whatever.
Right.
It's how many people are trying to come and see this person. Like, retail money is awesome, and I understand you want to get all your retail sales and you can, but ultimately, like, if this person is just not a good salesperson, but they're a wonderful service provider and they're always booked up, like their $40 haircut, if they're booked up 2 weeks in advance, is probably like a $43, $45 haircut, if not more, just because their time's more valuable. And there's always this turnover of, well, if I charge more money, I'm going to lose clients. And you're like, yes, you will. The person who's still charging less than you in the seat next to you is probably going to get those clients that don't want to pay the extra $3 to $5. But they're going to be replaced because the service you're offering is so nice with someone who doesn't care to pay that money. Like, we were looking it up in town the other day. The average cost for a haircut just in like Knoxville City area is like $62, I think is what we found. It's like $60 or $62 is the average haircut price in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
It's crazy. That's so much higher than I would have guessed.
Yeah. I mean, I was working at a salon. This was 4 years ago. We were doing $99 haircuts in Bearden, which is like not like a poor part of town, but it wasn't even like the nice part of Bearden. It was like, all right, it's $99 haircuts. Have fun.
Yeah.
And so I did not get haircuts.
Yeah.
But
so I have not had a haircut since.
But yeah, it was blowing our mind because like when we started, like we were doing $29 haircuts.
Wow.
Like the first place I was running was $29 haircuts, $35 base color.
Wow.
Which is like the school price on the color almost. Like,
that's unreal. Wow, that's so interesting. I've never like looked that up, but that is like, yeah, that's on my mind. And like you said, like you're selling time. And so I think that there's all of these sides of the industry that a lot of people just don't even think about or don't even know. And I don't necessarily know that you need to know that. Or, I mean, I think it's good to know in beauty school kind of in what industry you're going into. I think some people like to know everything before they go into something. And some people are like, oh, I'll figure it out. But I think that these are all really important things to take into consideration, especially if you're going to be booth renting or doing your own thing, because you need to know what your time is worth and what is your max that you can make. Is it what you want to make? That as many appointments as you can take in that chair, and then what you have to pay for rent and all of that stuff. Like how much are you going to have to be working, to do that? And I think that those are all like really important things to figure out. So Donnie will help you figure that out if you need help with that.
Yeah, we can talk about it. But there's another way to think about it too. Like if you are wanting to continue and grow and grow and grow and grow, like your financial side, that's one way to think about it. And I've seen it work excellently by not raising your prices too. The girl Keela, who owns the Wild Side, she's not raised her prices, I think, like 7 or 8 years.
Wow.
And she's fully booked 5 to 6 days a week. We're in holiday hours right now, so 6 days a week. She's booked up fully. And, it's not that her clients couldn't afford it. She's got wonderful, loyal clients.
Yeah.
But, her mindset is, I enjoy doing what I'm doing. I'm not struggling whatsoever to do the things I want to do. Why would I raise my prices? Like no one is worried about seeing me every 3 weeks. Right. To get their roots covered because I charge what I charge. If I charge what I charge, I might see them once every 4, once every 5 weeks.
Yeah. So. No, that's really a really good point. Like you're going to see them more often and she'll be able to keep that clientele forever. Yeah. Like she's got them and that's awesome. Well, I love that. So where can we follow you? So I know you're at the Wild Side. So we can book with you on is it on the Wild Side website or how do you book?
You can go to, I think we're at Wild Side Knox.
On Instagram?
Might be our thing. Yeah. No, I think that's our Instagram. Yeah, we're the wild side of Knoxville, though. We're the only wild side you're going to find here. So, yeah, you could hunt us down on Instagram. You can book through my Instagram, which is that.hair.guy. And yeah, I think that's the only places you can book. Good luck.
Thank you so much for being here with us today. I've loved getting this time with you. And thank you all so much for watching. Make sure that you are ringing that bell so that you can be notified when new episodes are coming out. Make sure you're subscribing to Beauty and Style Network. It's at Beauty Style Net on Instagram, and follow me at Beauty School Bobbi. And we will see you next time, guys. Bye.
What are we even talking about?
Good environment at Wild Side. So talk a little bit about...
Y'all have fun with that, edit.
Oh my gosh, if there's only one, that's not... Yeah, we've been doing good. The Instagrams.
Like, yeah.